Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Let's Talk Music podcast. Hope everyone had a great week. Today's actually a super rainy day here, and I actually do enjoy rainy days. I just want to let you know in case you hear a big thunder crash. That's what that is. And I hope you're looking forward to the weekend. And I'm excited because today we're going to talk about remote learning when it comes to actually learning music. And I know with the state, the summer's moving along, we're getting close to school starting, and with the state of everything happening with kind of COVID-19 and all that's happening. It's a crazy time, and I know schools are scrambling to figure out what to do, if to do hybrid schooling this year of partially in school, partially at home. To some schools like Harvard, actually, which blew my mind, they went to a completely remote year. So they're going to be completely online this year. No kids are going to be dorming there. So I thought that was kind of really intense, the fact that an institution like Harvard would already make that decision for the entire year. And the school where I work at as well, they're kind of figuring out what to do. So I know it's a confusing time for parents, for teachers, for administration, for really the whole country and the whole world for that matter. And so today we're going to discuss some of what I think are the best approaches to remote learning when it comes to music. Because obviously there's a lot going into figuring out how to do academics, math and history and things like that, and science. But when it comes to music, where you have to physically sit with the student, and it's a tactile instrument. You have to show a student exactly where to put your fingers. Sometimes it's difficult to translate that kind of detailed description, right, or detailed kind of performance for a student through Zoom, through the camera. But it is doable. I don't want you to think that it's not doable at all. But I wanted to kind of help you today how to make sure you have an effective musical year, music education year with your kids, no matter what age they're at, whether they're 3 or whether they're 13. It doesn't matter. The approach is very similar. And so I just want to go over kind of the highlights of what I think will make for a very successful remote music learning year. So with that said, we're going to start. I made a little list of what I think are very important things. So number one, you need to follow a plan. And I can't stress that enough. And that's exactly why schools are scrambling, because they want to make sure that the same schedule that a student would follow physically in school, right? You go in, there's homeroom, then there's this class, and then that class, and then PE, and then lunch, and then you come back, and then homeroom, and then you go home. There's a schedule that kids need to follow, and adults for that matter, right? We all need schedules as well to keep us on track. But kind of that routine is very helpful because kids know exactly what to expect. A lot of times with remote learning, we can't guarantee that same structure because there's too much temptation, right? I can speak for myself. I don't want to, speak for everyone. I mean, no, it's tough, right? Because you kind of could walk away from your responsibilities at any moment. You don't necessarily, nobody's forcing you to stay in front of the screen or doing, let's say, your work, right? It's almost like there's too much liberty. So having a plan and following that plan is extremely important. And at Color Me Mozart, we make sure that that's really integral part of learning music. And the reason music, I would say specifically it's important because learning music, like learning a language, I'm trying to think of other things that we kind of learn a lot of times as almost like a hobby, for lack of a better word. We sometimes get off track because there's no plan. Like, I'll get to it when I get to it. But I can't stress how important it is. If there is a routine and a plan that you're following, you can track that progress, right? You can follow, okay, I need to do this today and then tomorrow, so on and so forth. So number one is follow a plan. Number two is stay on course. And this goes back to, again, the first point, right? That's what school does for students. It keeps them on course. There are quizzes and exams and milestones that they need to reach that sometimes the student's not even aware of, but the teachers certainly are, right? They know by the end of the year, their class, their students need to learn X, Y, Z, right? Be able to perform whatever skill at a certain level in order to merit that it was a successful year. So stay on course is extremely important. And a lot of times with remote learning, it's really hard to stay on course because, again, of all the distractions, we can cut stuff early, we can shut the Zoom meeting early, and it's just a lot of temptation. So that's why it's even more important to make sure that we stay on course. Number three is measuring progress, right? Tracking progress. And this is pretty much the crux, right? The most important aspect of school, because it allows us to see in a very specific way if what we're learning is being the progress is correct, right? The progress is successful. The progress is there's a thunder. If the progress is what the teacher expects it to be, and the way we do is we track progress. Again, that's what exams are for, papers are for, and just kind of little moments where the teacher can observe the student and see if everything's on track. And for Color Me Monster, we made that super simple. In the last few pages of the activity book, as you see here, for every level, every lesson, we did a little check box, right? So you make sure that after every lesson you check it off, and you make sure that that worksheet and that lesson is complete. That way, when you're done with the book, you know you didn't skip. There's no element that you're missing, right? And we wanted to make that super easy to follow. Is the best way I could say it, right? Because music sometimes, and we've discussed this in past podcasts, that it's not a linear experience, right? I would say I don't want to downplay any other subject, but my guess is I'm not a math teacher, but a math teacher specifically knows that their students need to go from here to here to here to here to here to here to here in order to get to something, let's say calculus, right? Or that type of kind of high level mathematics. With music, if you've played any instrument for a little bit of time, if you had different teachers, you notice there's a lot of kind of paths to music. It's not the one specific path. Not every student is going to be a violin prodigy, and not every student's going to play rock and roll, that type. So there's a lot of different paths, right? Especially when it comes to learning modern music. Some people don't even learn how to read music. But what I don't like about that is it doesn't give you kind of a solid foundation when it comes to music. So I wanted to make sure that you didn't skip any vital aspect of what it is to learn music. Not to skip reading it, not to skip writing it, not to skip creating, not to skip listening, not to skip practicing. All these things that I've seen over the years, so many students, young and old, kind of plateau. And the reason is because they kind of, fumble their way through trying to learn something any which way. They'll watch a couple of YouTube videos, maybe read a book or two, that type of thing. Maybe get some advice from somebody else that plays, and they'll just kind of hodgepodge and piece it together. That's not really an effective way to learn anything. It might be fun for a little bit, but eventually you'll get frustrated because you won't have all the elements that you need. So tracking progress and making sure that you know that you've covered all the elements is extremely important, especially when remote learning. That way you're positive that you did not miss anything. And then if you have to come back and review something, and maybe not every part of what you're learning came easy, what's great is you can go back and make little notes and say, okay, you know what? Lesson 8 was a little tough. That the concept of putting this phrase together was a little difficult. So you come back and you work on that. And so that brings me now to my next point, right? So we talked about tracking progress and following a plan. And I may be making it sound extremely rigid, and I don't mean to, right? But there's an element of that to school, right? When you're in the physical building and in school, there's an element of structure. But what I wrote is still foster creativity, but keep overall elements present in every lesson. Okay, I'll explain what I mean by that. So you still want to remain fluid, right? Because music, again, is not math, right? We still have to practice certain things, but there's still a creative element to it. So you can still be fluid within the structure. And this is what I mean. If every practice session should have with it specific elements, right? You should warm up, you should sing. But there's really no hard, fast rule about what you should use to warm up, right? You can sing any song to warm up your vocals, to warm up your kind of attitude towards learning, to kind of just get excited about music. So you can choose any song. And that's what I mean. There's the structure of warming up with a song, but not really what specific song. And that's where you can really play and be fluid with asking your kids, oh, what song do you want to sing? What should we start with today? And that adds an element of creativity and spontaneity within the structure of what you're learning. And the same thing with like a goodbye song, or if it's a lesson where they have to create a melody, right? You don't want to tell them what to write. So again, it's open-ended, because today we're going to create a melody and play a melody and sing a melody and see what they can create. So that's what I mean by maintaining that fluidity, maintaining that creativity and openness when it comes to a music lesson. It doesn't have to be just, boring, like, okay, this is what we're going to do today, and this is what we're going to do now, and whatever. That you still want to keep it enjoyable and open and exciting and spontaneous. So that's just a little tip on that. Fluidity within structure. And then this I can't stress enough, because I feel it's one of the parts of learning music that just goes, I don't know if unnoticed is the right word. It just doesn't get promoted as much as I wish it would. And I'm going to have to explain it, because I'm going to say it and then I know I'm going to get a lot of feedback, criticism of like, that's not true, but this is it. So listening, intent, listening with questions is key to becoming a great musician and a great being able to appreciate music in a wonderful way. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, oh, wait, are you kidding? We listen to music all the time. We have music in our house playing all the time, and we love music in our house, and we sing all the time and dance all the time. That is wonderful. I love that. I have nothing to say about that except accolades and bravo, right? Because there's so many houses that don't play a lot of music. So that's great. However, there's another part to listening to music. And it's the equivalent of looking at a painting or watching a movie. You can watch a movie, or you can appreciate a movie, right? Really kind of appreciate the nuances and the detail and talk about it and have a conversation. You can look at a painting, or you can really ask what the painting makes you feel, right? You can listen to music, and then you can talk about what instrument is prominent in that piece. What style is it? Do you even like it? I ask my students all the time. When I teach guitar, I always give my students this little booklet that I designed, and it has like 70 songs that I feel are kind of like the top 70 songs of all time. And I always tell them the same thing. You do not have to like these songs at all, right? Because it's important to know who these artists are. But appreciating a song and liking it are two different things. And so it sparks an interesting conversation, because I'll ask them, let's say we talk about the Beatles, right? Not every child is going to like the Beatles, but let's say the Beatles, something simple like Day Tripper by the Beatles. Now, they may not like the song, but what I like to ask my students is, well, why didn't you like it? Or why did you like it? What instrument sounds great? Do you like this style? Do you want to listen to more from this artist? And it just creates this appreciation of music that goes beyond just a simple yes or no, right? It's no fun. It's no fun to talk to someone that just tells, hey, did you like that movie? Nope. You kind of want to have a more interesting discussion, right? And that's what music is also about. It's not just what we play. It's being part of, I always say that, and I'm going to repeat a lot, part of a musical community, right? When we play music, we are connected to every musician that ever existed, because they are part of that tradition, right? Whether it's Beethoven or Mozart or Chopin or B.B. King, right? Or Miles Davis or Billy Joel or Chris Martin or Alicia Keys, it doesn't matter. Right? We all are sharing in that same language, which is, to me, blows my mind. And I found that to be one of the most beautiful things and aspects about music. So going back to the listening, it's intent listening, right? Just sit down and have like a listening party. And that's included in the book, right? In the activity sheet is part of it. It says to listen to certain examples of drums and congas and pianos and violins and trumpets, because you want your kids to have a critical ear when it comes to listening to music and to be participant in listening, right? You don't want them to just be an observer, right? And you don't want it to just passively listen. You want them to intently listen. And that goes with any activity in life. Participating in activity is key to, I feel, enjoying, there's the thunder again, to enjoying every aspect of life. It's fun to watch a sport, but how much more enjoyable in life and rewarding is to play a sport, right? It's fun to, let's say, watch a movie, right? But how much more fun is to create something, to create a little short film or short story. And you want your kids engaged and active, especially when it comes to music and art. And so with that, we have the last part of it is just to just have fun, right? To make sure that music maintains its enjoyable aspect. And that goes back to the fluidity, right? So there's structure, but there's an enjoyment factor, right? And I want you to convey that to your kids, right? If you get excited, I have people tell me all the time that, well, we get excited because you get excited, right? And that's just kind of how I am as a person in general. I just love getting excited. Like I said, I love rainy days, and most people are like, oh, rainy days are so sad. I just love rainy days because I just think about all the positive aspects, and I just always kind of genuinely enjoyed rainy days. But you try to find the best in things, right? And the fact that it could benefit, farmers and the plants to grow, and then streets to get cleaned, all these things, right? You look at the better part. So the way we do that with our kids is if we look at music as just another, we got to do music homework like anything else, they're going to feel that. But if you get excited, hey, we're going to do music, we're going to sing, we're going to dance, we're going to listen to things, you're going to give me your creativity, you're going to create melodies, we're going to do all these things together, they're going to get excited, right? And you know that feeling, it's contagious. When someone gets excited about something, we get excited about something. So that's my last challenge to you, is to just get excited. Allow yourself to get excited about music this year. And the fact that it's different, we were talking with my colleagues at work, the fact that it's such a different year and we don't really know what's going to happen, this is a great way to take control. This is a great way to say, doesn't matter what happens externally with schools and with schedules and stuff like that, we're going to have a great musical year. We're going to get a lot done. We're going to get even beyond what we would have gotten if things would have just been, quote unquote, normal kind of every day and nothing would have changed. And with that, I just wish you the best year. I'm here with you the whole time. I'm on Instagram all the time. Obviously you're watching this on YouTube or on the website. You can ask me any question anytime, but my goal is to make sure that you enjoy this wonderful journey of music. So never feel like you're alone. We're always here, just one message away, and nothing brings me more happiness than to share the joy of music. So I hope you guys are excited and you're looking forward to a great, great year. And remote learning or not, let's do this. All right, guys, so good to spend time with you as always. I will see you next week. I'll see you on Monday for our live lesson. And with that, I'll catch you later. Have a great weekend. Happy playing, everybody.